Hello, welcome to week 7, Employee Development and Career Management. A lot of material in this week, as always, a lot of good stuff. Uh, we're all interested in our own personal developments, which we should be responsible for, and we should be driving that. But we also need to look for our outside help, who can help us, who can give us the knowledge, recommendations, training that we need to help us develop into what we want to be. And then as we're going along, we need to bring others with us. We need to develop those who work with us, those who work for us, and it's a general group effort. I'm sure everyone can think of mentors throughout their life. I know in high school it was my Latin and my algebra teacher. In college it was my statics and dynamics professor. It wasn't until I got into the Navy for the 22 years I was there. Uh, my boss was always kind of my mentor because that's the job. Your job in the Navy is training your subordinate to take your job. Division officer moves up to department head up to another department or executive officer to commanding officer. Wasn't until one of my deployments that I really understood this and got to experience it. I happened to be the officer of the deck driving the ship, and the captain's always around when things are going on. And for 3 successive evenings, I managed to not meet his expectations on the conduct of things, to which I found that out, or I felt it, and pretty discouraged. I asked the watch officer to reassign me to engineering. He didn't, and I can tell that he did talk to the captain because from the next night on, while I may not have met expectations, the help I received was more of a educational critique and coaching than it was a pure criticism. And I can say from that point on, my development as a ship driver improved, and I went on to my own command. Uh, Best job I ever had in the Navy. Leaving the Navy, the my job at the bakery plant manager, developing young employees and everything. One of my rising stars, shining stars that I always talk about. One of the ladies that she worked as a production line worker. And if you're a manager, you probably have someone who at some point in time causes you a lot of consternation. There's 20% of your employees might cause you 80% of your heartaches. I had two ladies that fit this category. Eventually, one decided to leave, mutually beneficial to everyone, and the other one decided that, hey, I really want to make something of myself. So she sought help. We got provided her with that, counseled her, coached her, and within a couple of years, she went from production worker to a production supervisor, a position which she held until she recently passed away, which lost a really good friend on that. But I always consider her one of my shining stars. I think you can probably find some other instances within your lives, experiences that you've had both in your development and watching others develop, uh, very beneficial. Uh, don't know if you've heard of the General Electric and the workout sessions that Jack Welch started back in the 80s. Those are very informational, very developmental sessions that you ought to look into those if you've never heard about those before. Kind of goes along with the 360-degree performance review talked about in the chapter. One thought that does come to mind on performance reviews, and I will say from my personal experience that the performance review is probably not a coaching tool. It's usually viewed outside as a promotional tool, and you would never, ever want to say something less than standard stellar performance and impact someone's career. I think it works the same way in the civilian life as it did in the Navy. So, coaching and development is really a one-to-one, offline, daily type event. Does not wait for either the semi-annual or annual performance review. Hopefully that what you have done in the meantime, it makes that event beneficial. But I have experienced or seen those points where you come up with just the single point in time evaluation, and that is not the time to tell someone that you think they can do a better job. You need to be doing that all along. You appreciate that when you have it fed back to you, so I'm sure they will appreciate it also. Again, week 7 here, project papers coming up soon, so I hope everyone's well along on that, and enjoy the week. I know this week is also talking about onboarding, which is the topic of 3 or 4 of your papers. So I'm looking forward to the application of maybe the book material and your own thoughts to those projects. Again, thank you very much for your efforts. Take care and have a good week.